Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Teagan, Raleigh, North Carolina at Fred Anderson Toyota. We're your one-stop, all-encompassing Toyota resource. We try to help you out whether you're researching your cars, buying a cars, or learning about the vehicles that you've already bought. Ali's here to help. He's our Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician. Ali, you up for some questions from viewers?
Let's get it.
Okay, we're going to try to help you, and as you're watching this, feel free to leave a comment so that we can use your questions about your cars for future episodes. Maybe we can help you out. Ali, this is very specific here. Ali, how are you? I have a question on my 21 Sienna Platinum all-wheel drive. When weather is good, you don't use air conditioning or heat, but you still feel hot, like the heat is coming from the engine inside. You feel it warm near your leg. Does that sound like something?
First of all Siennas, all Toyotas are really nicely insulated. So you shouldn't feel anything coming from the engine or the exhaust. Exhaust has these things called shields on them. Unless one of those shields knocked out and allows the exhaust to leak inside the car, the heat of the exhaust. We also have super shielding on the firewall. I think this person may have like their temperature sensor, the temperature adjuster on hot. And as they're traveling, they have fresh air reset set to a point where the outside air can still come inside. Yes, it can happen. As you're driving, even with everything off, you can have air coming in and leaking into the vehicle. And you have a heater inside that's designed to run when you have your AC on or a heater on with the blower.
Right.
But it can also run without the blower if the air is just leaking into the vehicle. I think that's what's happening with this person. And you can change the heat control to cold. If it goes away, that's what it was. You can also change from fresh to recirculate. I don't recommend this because it promotes mold and smells stuff inside the car. Most cars are designed to stay on fresh air. So do an experiment, change the temperature adjuster all the way to cold. That's the easiest way to tell. And as you're driving at highway speed, if your AC is set to normal condition, you can feel the air leaking everywhere. But you can probably, depending on what the setting you have on the ducts, on the air registers, you can feel it on your legs. I don't think it's your engine. I think it's the outside air blowing over the heater core. So either put it on recirculate, which I said again, I don't recommend, but you can change the temperature all the way to cold, and if it changes, the mystery is solved.
Yeah, right. You don't need Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang for that one. You
Yeah.
solved it yourself. All right. Now, this one has to do with tightening your wheel lugs. How tight should you make it? Is it worth it to use a torque stick when tightening my wheel lugs, or should I just rely on an impact drill?
Okay, first, for those folks who don't know what a torque stick is, it looks like an extension that goes on an air wrench. It is usually just barely shorter than a foot, maybe 10 inches long. And it's designed to give a little bit. Most people don't have, you have to have an air compressor at home to use a torque stick. You really can't use a torque stick with a wrench. You're not going to have the proper feel with it. I'm assuming that at a home environment, he either does not have a compressor, and if you have a compressor, a home compressor doesn't have enough air to run an impact wrench. Those are the ones that make all the hammering sound as you tighten and loosen the wheels. Most vehicles are about 80 foot-pound to 75 foot-pound. If you want to use something other than, if you want exactly what the factory does, this keeps coming over and over again. Check your owner's manual and their maintenance section. More than likely, a 75 foot-pound, 80 foot-pound is perfect. All of our express people religiously tighten it, and if they don't, they're gonna get speaking to. They use a torque wrench. A torque wrench, you will set the specific amount that you need to set on it. A good one costs over $100, maybe $200. If you want to use something, you can use that. If you're doing it at home, I recommend you use a torque wrench, not a torque stick. I don't think you have a compressor, and if you have a compressor, I don't think you have a compressor that's big enough to supply over 100-pound per square inch air.
Okay. And here might be a follow-up question. Let's say you had a tire blowout and you had to change your own tire, and all you have with you is the tire iron. You do it as much as you can tighten it.
Yes.
What should you do after that? Should you do any follow-up care just to make sure that you actually tighten it as much as the lugs need? Or that's kind of a slippery...
No. It has to do with how mechanical you are, how much hands you've had at it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that much of a hand at it, and you don't know how tight a tire is supposed to be, the best thing to do is, usually if you have a flat, you're going to end up going into a shop and having that flat fixed. If you're going to leave the tire that was on it, have the technician that's working on a flat also check that. As a mechanic, if I'm on the side of the road, I know how tight I'm going to get the tire, and I may not need a torque wrench. But if you don't have that much experience with it,
Mm-hmm.
when you take your tire to have the flat repaired, have the technician at the shop to check it and make sure it's proper.
Okay, cool. Very cool. All right, heated steering wheels. I have a question concerning the heated steering wheel on my RAV4. Do you know why Toyota only heats the side portions of the steering wheel? Thank you, sir. Probably cost.
Huh? First of all, I don't really see the use of having the whole steering wheel heated. It all uses power.
In driver's ed, they tell you to put your hands at 9 and 3,
I
right?
understand.
Maybe 10 and 2. But if you got them at 11 and 12, like some people drive, or 5 and 6, they don't need to be heated.
There is this thing that I've noticed, that steering wheels that are heated, they have a bulge. They have two bulges on them. I'm assuming those bulges have the heater elements in them. And if they had to put it all around, the cover on it probably would be too thick all the way around. Having said that, I think some engineer in his infinite wisdom decided your hand's going to be at 3 and at 9.
Probably a former driving instructor.
And do you really need all the heating everywhere else? No. If it helps better, I can't tell. I'm just assuming it's within some engineer's infinite wisdom to have put them where they did. And I know that there is a bulge everywhere, that there is actual heat coming out of the steering wheel. Maybe it has to do with what it takes to heat the steering wheel and those heater elements that cause the bulge to be there.
Yeah, and I have no idea if cost plays anything into it, but it could just be cheaper to only heat a little bit versus the whole thing. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't really understand it. I know that that's where they are.
Yeah. All right. How fast can you drive with four-wheel drive high and four-wheel low? You might know a thing or two about that.
Yes. Don't go around the lake in the back. You're going to get stuck.
Yeah, we've done that before. Get pulled out.
Four-wheel high, normal driving, anything is okay. Normal driving means not 100 miles per hour.
What about if the speed limit's 70? Can you drive, and you're in a
you can.
It's snowing outside or it's raining? Can you have it in four-wheel high?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not going to hurt it. Four-wheel low, absolutely not. Four-wheel low is intended to get you out of where you were stuck. Four-wheel low, usually you're not going to go over 5 miles per hour. To put it, most cars that have mechanical four-wheel shifters, you have to have the vehicle in neutral. You have to do a lot of extra steps to get the vehicle to go in four-wheel low. And can you drive at highway speed? Absolutely not. You're going to destroy the differential on a vehicle. Four-wheel high, you get in a vehicle, you drive it. Don't worry about how fast you're going. You want to get a speed limit, get a ticket on it. You can still do that with four-wheel high. But if
officer, don't give me a ticket. I was in four-wheel drive.
I was in four-wheel low.
He's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. I'm giving you 2 tickets.
If you're in a four-wheel low, that means you just get out of a rut. As soon as you're out of it, you stick it back in four-wheel drive if you need to.
So if you're on an off-road trail and it's particularly rocky or bumpy or anything like that, and you're going, I'm not talking about boulders or moguls, but if you're going 10, 15, 20, you want to be in 4 high, not 4 low, because that's designed for like 5 miles an hour or lower to get out of an obstacle. And once you get out of it, to continue on the path, you're saying put it in 4 high?
On a normal dirt road, on a rough road, on a road with gravel on it, 4-wheel high is just fine. I don't think on a gravel road and dirt road you can drive 70 miles per hour. If you drive in on heavier rocks where your car have to climb up and down on them, and you're driving in 4-wheel low, I'd definitely keep it below maximum 50 miles per hour, and I think that's too fast.
Okay, excellent. Let's check this one here. Does manual transmission require any additional service than automatic transmission? Stick shift.
Manual transmission is its own animal. Just like a regular transmission, maybe every 60,000 miles change the oil in it. It has a clutch. You have to check the clutch by seeing if it applies on the proper foot pressure. You have to check the master cylinder and slave cylinder. Those are things that make the clutch work. Make sure they're not leaking. Make sure they're adjusted properly. Also, the bushing on a shifter can wear. That's when you try to shift the car and it feels funny, like there's too much movement in it, and you can sometimes hear like a clatter as you go into a particular shift. That means that bushing is probably wearing out. On a lot of older VC Tacomas with clutches worn out, and we replace them. As you're replacing the clutch, you have to pull the shifters out, and the bushing that sits underneath them is totally destroyed. It's like $10, but it needs to be replaced.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. And then this is for you at-home DIYers. What are the main at-home car service steps to keep my truck running as long as possible?
Depends to the level of difficulty you like to go.
We'll start basic and then
Yes,
work our way up.
depends to your expertise at what you understand on a car. Things you can do yourself, you can change the oil. On some later model cars, even changing the oil is not that easily done to do. You can make sure that the tire pressures are proper. That's something everyone can do. Maybe you can buy one of those compressors that runs off the car battery. Make sure that the tire pressures are good.
Can I ask a question about the tire pressure? Where are the places on your vehicle where it can say recommended tire pressure? Because people wonder that. How much do I fill it to? What can I not overfill it to?
Yes. On most cars, it's in a door jamb. On some cars, it's not in a door jamb and it's in the glove box. If you don't see it on either one of those, which you should be seeing on one of those, it's in the owner's manual. We keep going back to that. As a general rule, when you come to our shop, we put 35 PSI on everything. Going a little bit over, normally they ask for 28 to 32 PSI. However, as the weather gets hot and cold, it can cause the low tire pressure light to go on, and a couple of extra pounds to add to the car and cause that light not to go on because of colder or warmer temperatures is gold.
Okay, and should you ever read on the tire itself? Should you go by that recommendation or go by the car?
We see people that make that mistake. That's a huge mistake.
I mean, it's so easy. It's right there on the tire.
That mistake says do not go over this pressure. If you go over this pressure, the tire will blow. The pressure that goes on every car is either in a door jamb or in the glove box or in the owner's manual. The pressure that's written on the side of the tire is usually intended for the person who installs the tire so they don't hurt themselves. They say do not go over this pressure. If you do, the tire may explode. If you're riding on a border of that and you hit a bump really hard, you could destroy your tire.
Okay, excellent. All right, that's perfect. And then what about people who know a little bit more about maintenance at home? Anything that you could give tips to make parts of their vehicles last longer, their trucks or their cars? Or
If you can do it yourself, and this is called a pad slap. That's when
Like
you buy brake pads and you just slap them on the car, and your car doesn't have any sort of a vibration. Some folks can do a pad slap. One thing that really I missed and I wanted to bring up was also there is nothing that's a replacement for an actual real professional mechanic to look on a vehicle. If you service your vehicle yourself, more power to you. However, bring your vehicle in once a year, twice a year, have a mechanic check it out on a lift, have a mechanic more than likely that specializes on your vehicle. In our case, it would be a Toyota that knows software updates, that knows technical service bulletins, that looks for very, very specific things that you may not know, also has tools to perform a lot of that stuff that you may not have at home. So disregard of your expertise level, have a professional mechanic at a minimum perform a health check on your vehicle, multi-point inspection to make sure vehicle is in proper health.
Right. Okay. That's excellent advice. We really appreciate it. And that finishes out this episode of Toyota Car Care Talk. Thanks everybody so much. If you'd like to join our social media platforms and groups, we want you to be part of the forum and let your thoughts and comments and opinions be known. So hit subscribe at Fred Anderson Toyota, and we're also on Instagram and Facebook at Fred Anderson Toyota. Remember, at Fred Anderson Toyota in Raleigh, we would love to help you out with servicing your vehicle, researching your vehicle, purchasing new or used or certified pre-owned, and we definitely want to help you feel more comfortable with the cars you've already bought. We want to help you know what those buttons and controls and switches and dials and gadgets and gazmos and Wizits, we want you to know what those are. You ever work on a Wizit before?
No.
Well,
I'm sure you're going to teach me later.
I'm going to teach you later, and then we'll do another video about the Wizits. All right, thanks, Ali, so much. I'm sure everybody really appreciates it. Leave a comment with a question you have about a vehicle you're interested in. Thanks, everybody, so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.